Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. First off, sorry about the terrible lighting. I'm not in the same room we usually film in. So you don't get to see the real awesome, vibrant colors of this guy. But, you know, I mostly just wanted to talk about something. This is probably going to be a quick video. This is actually something I've thought about a lot. But I don't feel like my thoughts are super organized necessarily on it. But I do want to address it. This came about because I was thinking about mostly from me being a customer rather than a seller, but it's also come up as a seller of reptiles. It came about thinking about asking for discounts from breeders, right? You go to buy a snake or a lizard or whatever, and you ask for a discount from whatever the listed price was. Now, on Morph Market, this isn't as concerning because they have that box that says, you know, either prices are firm or open to offers or negotiations or whatever it says. So if it says prices are firm, don't ask for a discount. That's pretty rude, I feel like. I mean, still, I guess you could ask, but you're more likely to bother or irritate the breeder if you do that, and you're less likely to get a discount, right? If it says open to offers, though, it seems silly not to make an offer. You know what I mean? So anyways, the issue here is everyone chooses a different set of criteria to kind of determine how much of a discount they ask for, right? So, you know, there's a $2,000 snake. Someone offers $1,000. Most of us would agree that that's a low ball, insulting offer, and no one's ever going to accept that. Problem is, sometimes people do, right? So people, as a buyer, begin to feel like the bolder and pushier you are, the better the discount you're going to get, right? And this really bothers a lot of breeders and they'll say, I put so much time into this animal, and I've been raising up the adults for 4 years, and I've got my bills to pay too. I've been feeding them all year, and blah, 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 and this is insulting. Well, as a seller, not me, but I know for a fact that some breeders bake in an assumed discount into their listed price, right? They don't expect to actually sell it at that price. They're just listing it high, expecting to get bargained down. Well, that makes you a sucker if you don't bargain them down. You're paying more for that snake than the breeder even thought it was worth, right? And part of me hates this whole discussion, talking about the worth of an animal, a living animal, in strictly financial terms. Really is off-putting to me. It doesn't feel right. However, the business side of the hobby is incredibly important and should not be neglected from buyers or sellers, hobbyists or breeders, first-time reptile owners or 40-year vets. We should not neglect the business side of this hobby because it really makes the wheels turn, right? It just does. Money flowing helps everybody to a degree. Obviously, I'm not talking about smuggling and poaching and things that are corrupt, but sound business practices within this hobby will only help everything, right? Including the animals that we love, right? There's entire businesses, millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, that are strictly support of the reptile hobby. It's not the actual reptiles themselves. It's people who are producing finer and finer and higher end and more naturalistic enclosures that are going to make these reptiles just happier and thrive better, better and better and better lights, more healthy heat sources. All of these businesses exist because the finances of the reptile hobby are solid. So we don't want to just neglect this, right? So back to my discount thing, because this isn't only a discussion about discounts, but I do think that's important to talk about. Where's the line between not being a sucker, but also not being a jerk? Everyone's going to have to come to their own conclusion on that. I have always tended to err on the side of I don't want to be a jerk. If that means that I have sometimes overpaid for an animal a little bit, then so be it. I am not willing to burn bridges by really aggressively going after some breeder who's never going to want to work with me again just to save a couple dollars or a couple $100 sometimes. I mean, it's not insignificant. I'm not saying you're wrong for pushing because you want to save some money, especially if you feel like, oh, this breeder listed it for way more expensive than it was really worth, and I don't want to be that guy that overpays and then the breeder's laughing afterwards about that sucker who paid $4,000 for a $3,000 snake, whatever the case may be. But these numbers do get big. You know, we have tree monders worth $2,000 each. We've got ball pythons worth more than that. Indigos worth $1,000. These animals are expensive, right? You know, we're not talking about $20 animals here or whatever. These things make a difference, and if you get taken advantage of multiple times, it's going to add up, and you're going to be out a lot of money you didn't have to be out of. On the other hand, you burn too many bridges, and you really can burn bridges. Plus, it's just, you know, we don't want to be jerks. Like, most people don't like that, being abrasive and angry and aggressive in every interaction they ever have with other people. Anyway, so I was thinking about that. Well, I don't have an answer for you. I can tell you what I do, which is I've asked for discounts before. I never do if it's on Morph Market and they have asked or if they've listed their prices as being firm. But otherwise, I'll ask for little discounts sometimes. Usually if I'm buying multiple animals, I'll say, you know, do you give any discounts for multiple animals? Some people do, some people don't. I've made offers before a little bit lower than listed price. I will tell you, when people ask me for discounts anymore, I usually say no, unless they're buying multiple animals. I have listed on Morph Market that we don't accept offers. Our prices are firm, but I also list my animals at a price that I feel they are actually worth. You know, I expect to make a certain amount after a certain number of years with a project. Some of these lizards are especially difficult to breed, very expensive to keep, hugely impactful on our space and our electricity and things that people don't always think about. And so they're expensive, right? They're very, very rare, high demand. The marketplace really does affect the price enormously. If there's huge demand, which there is, and there's not enough supply, these are going to be kind of expensive animals, right? And then if they're also exceedingly rare, if they're also very difficult to make, or it's maybe it's a animal like a ball python with morphs, and it took you 7 years to get this particular combination, and it ends up being spectacular looking, that's going to be a really expensive animal, right? So I don't want people to think like, wait, your sailfin dragons are these tiny little lizards that barely, they're like 3-ounce lizards, and you're charging $750 or whatever it is. That's crazy. No one's going to pay. Well, guess what? People pay that. We've sold out every clutch we've ever hatched. And they are worth every penny. These are captive bred animals. We socialize them ourselves. You know, we spend hours and hours handling each individual baby so that they're not skittish of people. It's not like a snake, you know, that tends to just turn docile the older it gets. Some of these animals take unbelievable amounts of work, and we're charging enough money that we're kind of being paid for our work, right? Just like any other job. Anyway, this leads me to another topic that makes some people angry. Aside from just you charge so much for these animals, you know, I can go get a snake at the pet store for $20. Okay, then go to the pet store and get your $20 snake then. That doesn't offend me at all. Good luck. I hope that snake is okay, because it might not be, and you have no support if something does go wrong. But regardless, go ahead, go do that. Well, here's another issue. What if you're on Morph Market or Fauna or wherever, or people's private websites or Facebook pages or Instagram, wherever you're looking, and you see a snake? Here's a Super Orange Dream Ultramel. Okay, I'm not going to tell you how much he cost. I'm not trying to make this all about numbers, but the financial principles here that we're talking about are important. So I will tell you that there were other Super Orange Dream Ultramels listed at the same time from other sellers for about $500 less than this animal. Okay? And I bought this one anyway. There's a lot of reasons for that. He was better looking. He just was. His color and pattern were just superior by a long shot. We had purchased from this breeder before and trusted him. We'd had great conversations with him. He specializes in Orange Dream, so he knows what he's talking about. He was very helpful and supportive during the whole process before and after the sale. He takes his business very seriously. Not that these other breeders didn't, but he clearly put more effort into the ads themselves, the pictures that he took, keeping the information on this animal updated in Morph Market. He just was... It was a far, far, far better experience. So we ended up paying extra money for what I consider to be a better animal and a better buying experience, right? Now, the reason this gets contentious isn't that. Everyone has the right to buy from whichever breeder they want. The problem is, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to go buy a snake from Ozzy or from Justin Kabilka or from whoever, but the same snake from them is way more expensive consistently across the board than from somebody else. Even if somebody else produced that combo and it's just as good looking as Justin Kabilka's, why is Justin Kabilka charging more? Is he just because he's big and popular, he thinks he can charge extra? Well, I mean, yes, but that's not a bad thing, right? You buy a snake from someone like that, that's a major boost to your collection, being connected to someone that successful. Being able to go online and be like, hey, my stock from my projects comes from Justin Kabilka stock, that means something, right? That adds legitimacy to you because he has worked tirelessly for a long time to gain his own legitimacy, to kind of carve out this super high-end professional niche in the market for ball pythons, right? So you're not just paying more because he's more popular. You're paying more because you can trust what he says. His eye for identifying morphs is just better than most other people's. So there's a reason, many reasons really, why a given animal that seems so similar to somebody else's animal might have a drastically different price. Generally, it's not going to be thousands of dollars. In fact, it's never going to be thousands of dollars of difference. If it is, maybe you should just look elsewhere. But generally speaking, the breeders, not necessarily the biggest breeders, because sometimes they have the cheapest prices, but the most popular and respected, I'm not sure what to call it. There's just some breeders who charge more, and to me, they have every right to. You know, they have a history of being trustworthy in the hobby. They are trendsetters, not just in price, but in what morphs and even species get popular, you know? So there you have it. I just wanted to have a quick discussion on prices and on the differences you see in prices and the fluctuation in prices, you know? Things like Desert Ghost are trending up right now. A lot of breeders are producing some unbelievably awesome combos, and so they're more expensive right now. In 4 years, maybe they won't be. Maybe something else will be. Yeah. So it's easy to get confused by some of these things and feel like you're being taken advantage of. So take your time, be cautious, don't get taken advantage of, but sometimes you're not actually being taken advantage of. Sometimes there's reasons for the market doing what it's doing. There's nobody regulating this market. There's nobody. It's a pretty free and open market. You're not forced to buy into this at all. You don't have to spend a penny on this. It's not an essential thing to go and be a reptile person, right? And really, other than some conservation concerns and some safety concerns, there's very little reason for legal things to get involved. So it's all about, is someone willing to spend the money? Then that's what it was worth, right? if you have some incredible new thing that you charge $10,000 for, and instantaneously hundreds of people are offering you $10,000 for that thing, you probably undercharged. That seems insane when we're talking about a snake, but really you should have charged more. It was worth it. People were willing to get into it. Now, this whole discussion is going to bother a lot of people who want the hobby to not be business minded. They are offended by this concept of choosing to do something with animals and including financial concerns in your decision. They don't like that. It just rubs them the wrong way. They think you must be more motivated by the money than by love of the animal, and therefore you're going to do a disservice to the animal. Its husbandry is not going to be up to par. You're going to sell it to people who might be shady because they are the ones who came up with the money. Whatever the case may be, there's this assumption that if money is important to you in this hobby, it must be more important to you than reptiles, which to me is completely false. That doesn't mean that that's impossible, and there's people out there who that's true for, but that as a logical statement, if the money is important to you, it's more important than snakes, that's not logic, right? That doesn't make sense. That's a not true deduction. And then they go even further and say, because you value money, you're going to allow that to harm or be a detriment to your snakes, which is also untrue. That's a fallacy, right? Again, that doesn't mean that it's always untrue. There are people who don't take good care of their animals. There are newcomers who don't do their research and don't know how to take care of their animals and get them anyway, don't take good care of them. There are hobbyists trying to move into becoming breeders that do this professionally and cut corners to save money. They end up not taking good care of the animals even though they know better. There's major breeders and wholesalers and flippers and importers who cut corners in order to maximize profit margins, who end up not taking good care of their animals. All of these things are morally wrong, right? But that doesn't mean that they only happen because of money, right? Or that, worded a different way, every single person who hopes to make money is going to do those things. That is not true, right? And so when we make these black and white statements that it's either 100% this or 100% that, you only love your snakes if you don't do it for money, well, no, wrong. I can't open my mind to you and magically show you what I actually truly think and feel, but I promise you, with whatever trust any of you out there might have in me, I love my snakes a lot and would never cut a corner knowingly or willingly that would make them unhealthy, unhappy, or uncared for in any way. And I also want to make money doing this. I want it to be a business. I don't want to go to some 9-to-5 job every day. I want to work for myself, and I don't want to work for myself building widgets online or selling things on. I don't, typical self-employment. doesn't appeal to me either. I want to be working with animals, specifically reptiles, and working for myself, and I need money to survive, right? So does my family. So does all of your families out there. This is not a bad thing. If I begin to value my money so much more highly than my reptiles that I don't even love my animals anymore, that would be a problem. But I'm not there, and I never will get there, and I know that because I can see that in myself, and I will argue this point to my dying day, right? That you can do both, and that it will be better in the long run for people and animals if good people do both of those things. We need hobbyists. We need people who are only pet keepers and don't want to get involved in business. But we also need business people. We need promoters, people who have a huge audience, who instill love of reptiles in people. We need people who are experts in these rare, exotic, foreign species that very few people even know they exist. Who that's their passion. They love getting involved with these new things that no one's ever seen before. We need people pushing the cutting edge of ball pythons and leopard geckos and corn snakes and retics and boas and all the morph species. We need people who are pushing the cutting edge of husbandry and doing research, not just... I don't want to get into that again. We've had vlogs recently on that topic. But anyway, that is all. Ball python prices, reptile prices are determined by supply and demand, just like everything else. There's this kind of conspiracy theory thing that the prices are all controlled by a couple of powerful, influential breeders, and they determine the market, and no one else can really break into that, and baloney. Baloney. I'm calling baloney on that, okay? Prices of these things are determined by just straight up supply and demand, and if you don't have the money for it, I am sorry. I am. There are some reptiles out there I would dearly love to have, and I can't afford them, so I don't have them, and I'm not going to sit around and blame some breeder somewhere for overcharging massively and blah, blah. No. If I can't afford it, I can't afford it. And if I save up for a long time and get one, then I will also charge that much when I produce them, right? Anyway, that is all. The only other thing I would say is the ball python market is not crashing. It just straight up isn't. I know that you can trace a particular gene, and it's price drop that always occurs, and whatever other proofs you want to throw at me. Don't buy it. I don't buy it one little bit. It's never been stronger. It's never been healthier. It's never had more people involved in it at every level, from beginner to professional. This market is just awesome, and it's going to continue to be that way for as long as I can foresee. And that is actually all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.